So it's not good news for the Harley Benton. Not good news at all. When I last left you, I said that I wasn't angry about getting a guitar that was pretty much unusable. I was just a bit disappointed, but I was hopeful that my problems would be resolved and I'd get a functional guitar. Well, I'm no longer just disappointed. I've got some of that anger now too. Now, before I tell you about what Thomann said about this guitar, let's start from the beginning in case you've missed it so far. A quick recap. I offered to buy my friend Glenn a guitar. We made a video where we went through all the Harley Benton range. He picked out one and it happened to be the Harley Benton TE90 FLT. I bought it, it arrived, and on the surface level at least it seemed to be okay for the price. Couple of small issues, but nothing major, and it was a cheap guitar, so it's perfectly acceptable for the price. However, I then plugged it in and found immediately that the guitar had an issue that just rendered it near completely useless, at least as an electric guitar. The issue, I believed, was incredibly microphonic pickups, meaning that the pickups essentially served as microphones for the guitar. Instead of just picking up the strings, they picked up absolutely everything. And everything includes rubbing your hand on the neck while playing, the body rubbing against you while you're playing, your arm is moving on the body, any taps on the body, and that's at a low crunch. It's also got, of course, quite a hum and buzz. You could even speak through the guitar. Check, check, 1, 2, test, test, 1, 2, check, check, check. Yeah, it's not great. Essentially, they sent me 2 microphones with strings attached, and that's before the squealing issue. At any level remotely close to that of playing with a drummer, the pickups feed back, and it's not the type of feedback we talk about with guitar where it's musical and it's related to the vibration of the strings. This is uncontrollable. This is microphone feedback, high-pitched squeals which just deafen you. And all that means is that this guitar cannot be used at any gig, and it can't be used for any recording. It really just can't be used as an electric guitar. It can't be used for its intended purpose. Now, if you saw the original video, you may have noticed that I was perfectly okay with this guitar slipping past QC. I accepted that mistakes happen, and this could be just one of those mistakes that skip past, because you probably wouldn't have more than 5 minutes for someone to do a quick, brief check over of this guitar before it gets shipped out, because it's a cheap guitar. But there were rumors, at least in the comments, that Thomann don't QC the guitars at all and just send them directly from the factory or from a warehouse without checking. But I have to say that I received the Thomann QC card. It's signed off on the back, or at least it's got a squiggle, and they say, "This instrument has been thoroughly checked before dispatch. Service is very important to us. Its functions and settings have been checked by our service team." So apparently this was QC'd. So keep that in mind. I'm foreshadowing. Other people mentioned in the comments that these issues should be expected for a guitar in this price range, and that you should just replace the pickups anyway. This is totally normal and acceptable. But I have to disagree. I was sold and purchased a fully functioning electric guitar. Yes, it was cheap, but it was still a fully functioning guitar. If it was sold as a project guitar or a B-stock guitar, sure, it's acceptable to have an issue that's so glaringly bad, and it would even be acceptable to say that the electronics wouldn't last if they went bad after a while. But this guitar had this problem straight out of the box, and guitars in this price range tend to be sold to people on their first or maybe second guitar. If a guitar doesn't function as it should, then it shouldn't be sold as if it does. And now the last thing I wanted to mention was potential fixes for the instrument. Is it repairable? Is it just a loose connection? Many people thought, because of the significant hum and buzz that this guitar produced when plugged in, it was a grounding issue. And this would be a fair assumption, because recently enough, several Harley Bentons that were reviewed came out as having severe grounding problems. Yeah! However, I think this guitar is different. For one, the guitars in question that did have the grounding issues arose because the bridge was painted in a satin black that didn't allow the grounding wire to make contact with the metal of the bridge. It didn't ground the strings, it had active pickups, several factors that really didn't help. However, I took a look inside this guitar, and there's no loose ground wires, and the bridge is chrome plated. So the connection between the ground wire from the bridge into the pot on the back it should be absolutely fine, and it does seem that way. Another theory was that it was wired backwards, as in the ground and the hot on the output were wired in reverse by accident, but I had a look and that doesn't seem to be the case either. So the wiring seems fine at the switch, at the pots, at the output. There's nothing that stands out to me as an obvious issue, so it comes back to the pickups I think might be a problem. So I went onto Thomann's website and initiated a return for a replacement guitar, and hopefully we'd get this issue sorted out. Thomann's return interface was easy and pleasant to use. I simply went onto the website, selected the item that I had purchased and said whether I wanted a refund or if I wanted to return it for a replacement, and I chose the latter because this guitar isn't for me, it's for Glenn. This is a gift. So he wanted this, so I needed to get him a new one that was working. And pretty soon after, I received an email requesting that I send a video showing off briefly the issues that I had with the guitar, and this would be sent from the customer service people to their experts, and the experts would take a look and see if there was a problem that I could just fix here instead of sending it back, which is perfectly reasonable. So I did a quick video and I'll show you that video now. It's just 57 seconds long. Hi, so the pickups I believe are microphonic. This is easily demonstrated on any sort of gain channel, so I'm going to roll up the volume. I can actually speak into the pickup just to show you. Yeah, so it can pick up my voice, but it doesn't just pick up my voice. Any noise from rubbing my hand on the neck while playing, the body rubbing against my body while playing. It's got a huge hum that if I turn around and face the speakers, I'm gonna get the uncontrollable feedback. It's not guitar feedback. It's the pickups. And that's not on particularly high gain. There is a huge amount of buzz. If I added more gain and for a lead channel, it's a lot worse. They thanked me for the video and told me that they'd send it on to the experts and I'd hear back soon. A couple of days later, I received this. We have heard back from the experts and they have asked if the issue is with only one pickup or both. I'll demonstrate for you now. It's with both. Bridge pickup. 1, 2, check, check, check. Squeals. Yeah. Neck pickup. Still the same microphonic squeals. So back to the email, they say, the reason we are asking if the issue is with both pickups. Unfortunately, this would mean it is how it should be. A replacement would not be of any difference in that case, and we would only be able to offer you a return for a refund instead. That's how it should be. Really? From the experts are saying, really? Because I've looked at the reviews. I've looked at reviews that are both sponsored and unsponsored, and it doesn't even matter if they were sponsored because it's really hard to hide a guitar that doesn't work. The guitars that I looked at didn't have this problem. Now, I did receive a comment recently that said his guitar did have the same problem, but I've seen another comment from a guy who had the same guitar and said that he didn't have the same problem. So it is clearly not all the same. And that really annoys me on a couple of different levels. Because for one, I know that there's a chance that a replacement would actually remedy this issue, and this guitar isn't for me, it's a gift. So I haven't even told Glenn yet that he's not getting this specific guitar. So I have to go and get him a different one. And it won't be a Harley Benton, by the way. Because the other aspect of how this annoyed me is that this guitar here, according to Thomann, is, quote, how it should be. That's the experts are saying that this is how it should be. Which means that, I'm going to return this, I'm going to get my money back, but it's very likely just going to be put on the shelf again, and whoever buys it will receive this exact one because it's how it should be. And as I said before, if you're selling a guitar that doesn't function as it should not be sold as if it does. You've just said that unfortunately, this is how it should be. There were like 650 or so comments on the previous video, and not one said, oh, guitar seems fine to me. Thomann are the only ones that said that. This is how it should be. Are you kidding? And I do want to point something out important here. I'm fully aware that this is a cheap guitar, but as I said, it doesn't matter how cheap it is, it should be functional. That's the core basis of any guitar. It should function. It's okay if it doesn't sound great. That's fine. It's okay if it's got a few cosmetic details. That's fine too. Those are acceptable in the price range. For the guitar not to be able to be plugged in without a massive buzz. Bearing in mind, I wasn't on high gain, I was on like an overdrive setting. And of course, as I've mentioned, I've seen the other videos of people playing these and they didn't have that issue. And it's a budget guitar, sure, but this guitar here was cheaper than the Harley Benton. This was my first ever electric guitar, a Washburn X series. And this guitar, while it's not absolutely perfect, is a perfectly functional instrument. And I could play a gig with this tomorrow because it doesn't buzz and hum like crazy. It's not going to pick up my voice. It's not going to pick up me playing it like on the back of the neck, the hand movements. That is ridiculous. How it should be. What are you talking about? So I'm packing that guitar up and it's being posted out to Thomann tomorrow. I'm going to get the refund and I'm going to put that money and probably more so into a guitar for Glenn, because I feel bad now because he was supposed to get a guitar. He wanted that one. He's not going to get that guitar now. So we're going to go on a real actual going out to different guitar shops and let him play a bunch and he can pick them. The budget's going to go up. So if you see a sponsored video for like a mobile game or a VPN, just know that I'm putting that money into Glenn's future guitar. I do want to briefly just mention something as well. Well, this is my first Harley Benton guitar, and probably my last, if that's how it should be. I'm not against Harley Benton as a brand. I used their pedal power supplies. I've got 2. I bought a violin off them. I bought other stuff, and it's all been fine. This is the first guitar, and it's really left a sour taste in my mouth. And I was fine with there being a problem. And I was fine with the problem being fixed. I just can't believe that they've said, the experts have said that that's how it should be. That's ridiculous. And I do want to preface though, the Thomann actual customer service was fine. There was nothing wrong with that. It's just the approach to this guitar. It annoys me because someone's going to get that. I think if that's their attitude to it. So yeah. Enjoy that. So, now I have to go tell Glenn that he's not getting that guitar, but he'll get something better. That's how it should be. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you want to see the resolution to this story where Glenn gets his guitar eventually. It was supposed to be a 2-part story. Now it's going to be 4. And anyway, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.